Sparta Town Council. Appreciate everybody being here. If we would, start off, with pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's see. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, sir.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? That's three of us. Good. Any other than old business should be added to the agenda at this time? Not any more business there, we'll go carry on. Public comments, agenda items, citizens are encouraged to commit at this time on any item specifically listed in the meeting agenda. The comment time is limited to 3 minutes. Anybody got something to say, go ahead and say it. If not, we're gonna carry on. Contract awarded for the wastewater treatment project. Jose, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So in front of you, we do have 3 options that were presented. All 3 options keep the project under, put the project back within budget as we had discussed. We were, if I remember correctly, 1.6 million over with the original original bid that was put in by Locklane. So we were asked to go back and do some revisions. Now, I do want to point out a couple things to the council. We are not necessarily picking option A, B, or C, but I'm showing you that there are 3 options to save money. And the reason I say we're not picking option A, B, or C at this point in time, we're just awarding the contract based off one of these 3 options. Is, as I expressed to you last time, I am in the process of attempting to gain some more money through our representatives in Raleigh. So if we do get some more money, then we'll be able to go with the full scope of the plan itself. But I did want you to see that even if we do not receive any additional funding from Raleigh, one of these 3 options will be the options that we prefer. So we go with, and we'll put the town back in to be able to complete the sewer plant with the originally allocated $15 million. And just to kind of touch base on them, and we'll let them come up and discuss this, and they can correct me if I'm incorrect on any of these. But the engineers are here, and Locklane, the contractors are here. Option A would decrease the base bid to $12.5 million. We'll have to add that $100,000 for sludge removal from those tanks when they bring the tanks out. So it'd be $12.6 million. Option A, and I'll let them, we'll speak about each individual momentarily, but would allow us to keep the new mechanical bar screen along with maintaining our old manual bar screen. So if your mechanical wants to fail, you still have the manual to bypass until the mechanical one could be corrected. Right now we have a manual bar screen is what we have. So this would allow us to build a new mechanical one. But what it does is it removes the new pumps, the originally proposed submersible pumps to new non-submersible above ground pumps, which is currently what we have right now, but they're old, they fail, they're not self-priming, they have to be primed. And most of the failure tends to occur from lack of priming. So this would put us with new pumps to replace the old ones. Option B would be no new mechanical bar screen, and it would keep the end plan for new submersible pumps, that only produces a savings of $498,145. I'll go ahead and let council know that I'm not a fan of option B. So to me, that one is gonna be tossed out. It's not a workable option, because you lose your new mechanical bar screen. You keep the old manual bar screen, but the only thing that you've done is you've upgraded those submersible pumps. Those pumps to submersible pumps. The current pumps that we have work good. And when I say work good, not meaning that they don't fail. But if you had new pumps to replace the old, aged pumps, it would work good. It has kept this wastewater treatment plant running for many years. So taking out the old ones and putting new ones in would increase the life of that sewer plant. Option C, is a hybrid option. And from what, speaking with both Lock Lane and McGill, option C would basically be a retrofit of the current manual bar screen. It would move the manual bar screen to a mechanical screen, but everything has to stay in place. So you don't necessarily build a new screen beside it. My concern with that, and I'll ask them and have them answer those questions as well to everybody, is what happens when that screen fails, you don't have a bypass. It does keep, again, the above ground pumps, which I'm perfectly fine with. That one does allow a savings of a little bit over $1 million. But my biggest concern would be the failure of that bar screen and how you bypass that. So with that, at this point in time, I will ask either the engineers or Lock Lane to address any questions or concerns with option A and option B, and your input on them.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, council. Let me just clarify one thing. Jose said it very well, explained the options. Let me just mention on option C that he's correct, it's a hybrid option. And basically in that existing bar rack channel, we would remove the existing bar rack. We would put in a mechanical bar screen and a new manual bar rack right beside it, and with some channel gates so that you could direct flow through the new mechanical screen, self-clean screen. If that mechanical screen was to go down, then the gates could be reversed, so you close the ones for the mechanical screen, open up the manual bar rack, and then you still have screening in place. It's just in a small footprint in the existing structure. And so the big difference in C and A is just that point. Option A adds a new screen channel, completely separate from the bar rack channel. So you have two structures fully intact.
What if we were to once we decide on which one of these two we want to do, if we were to do option C, how difficult would it be in the future if we obtain additional funding to build a whole new mechanical screen that's not in the same compartment as the new one?
Good question. So as part of option A, it includes rerouting sewers to the new screen channel. So all of that work, if you were to do option C, would go away. So you direct it just to the existing channel. And so you're also tearing out the existing bar rack. So if you were to go back and build the new mechanical screen structure in the future, you would have to build that structure and reroute the sewers, add the manholes, and then you would also have to come back and retrofit the existing bar rack channel. So you'd have to, take that screen out, take the old bar rack out, and put a new one back in. Unless you were to just leave it like it is and add a fully new screen channel, which is going to be a significant cost. So, with the price difference between A and C, I think it is recommended to go with option A with a completely new mechanical screen channel. And Lock Lane's did a good job of, pricing these out and working with McGill on these couple of options, so we could present you with these few options.
So you recommend
Yeah, between these three options, you're gonna get your most bang for your buck, going with option A. Now, if you had, full project funding, it would be ideal to replace the existing wet well and put new submersible pumps in and a valve vault. But if you do need to save, $830-some thousand, then option A is a good option.
we could, with option A, we can always go back and add just the part that we're not gonna be able to get. Can we do that?
With option A, and correct me if I'm wrong here, with option A, the only thing that we are giving up is the submersible pumps. And that, so if we went with option A and we obtained, say, $1 million grant in the future, we could come back, we can build a structure for those submersible pumps and swap out those above ground pumps for submersible pumps.
So we could add that later on if needed.
It gives you the option to add it because you're not taking away from the intended infrastructure. That is the one thing I do like about option A is that if we look for that, we could do it later. However, I'll be honest with you, if we obtained additional money in the future, and I say the future, meaning this project is completed and we apply for additional grant funding, we would look for other items because we would put brand new pumps in there that should last us many years, so there'd be no point to take out those new pumps and replace them with new ones.
So as time goes on and it gets to a point we gotta replace a pump, then we could go with the submersible pump.
If
You could actually just replace, you're gonna have 3 pumps in the new pump station, regardless of the option we go with. So you'll have a redundant pump. If one goes down, you'll still have the 2 pumps that can operate. And in the meantime, you can replace, the pump in that package station. So you don't have to replace the whole pump station. You can just buy a new pump and put it in there. But over time, once that ages out, then you can certainly go with that option. The whole station.
According to the state of North Carolina, I believe the last word we got from them is don't ask because we don't have any money. So we've got these funds and we are gonna, we're due to bound, our responsibility is to get as much as we can get done right now because we don't have any hopes unless something unforeseen happens that we're gonna get more money. So with A, there's 2 green things, so we just talked about the above ground function controls.
Yes,
So we're going with that as opposed to submersible pumps, correct?
that's correct.
So what would happen if we went ahead and did the submersible pumps? Or is that not feasible financially?
That was part of the base bid, and so in order to save $830,000, we're switching from.
All right, we got $15 million, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
All right, how much contingency do we have to have, Mr. Butcher?
that would be up to us. With option A, we would have just shy of 3% contingency. The requirement by the bill that was passed did not specify a specific amount. Predominantly, you'd like to have a 5% contingency, but you can do less than 5%. You can do 2 or 3%. I wouldn't go below 2%.
So you comfortable with 3?
Yes, ma'am. I'm comfortable with that rate.
So these figures now, does this include what we're spending on engineering? Has the engineering already been spent because you all came out and configured the whole thing?
That total budget includes
The total budget being the 12,502,190.
the 15 million.
The 15 million, now the 12,502,190, that is exactly what's going to lock line.
Plus 100,000, so it's 12,602,190.
Sludge removal,
Yes,
Okay,
but that would apply, Ms. Millie, to any one of those options.
right.
Sludge removal.
So that puts us at 12,602,190,
yes, that's right.
and that doesn't have anything, that's what Lock Lane is gonna get paid. McGill's already gotten theirs, the majority of theirs for the
The
engineering,
design phase.
design
And
phase.
we'll be, we won't go away, we're gonna be here for construction management and
I understand
engineering.
that, certainly do appreciate that, but how much more is it gonna cost for you all to, how much more cost are we gonna have for you?
I don't have that number in front of me, but it's in that total budget.
It's gonna be about 1.5 million.
So,
Cause I think it was budgeted 2.5, if I'm not mistaken. Or a
okay,
little under 2.5 when I was looking at it.
so McGill's already gotten one plus
They're
or
about
minus,
900,000
got 900, so,
plus. Mhm.
okay, so that's gonna keep us under 15, correct?
Yeah, either one of
Because
these
there's not
options
any
will
more
keep us
money,
under.
there's not any more money out there. We don't have any more
Right.
money.
And so also, you know, in addition to design, so we have been paid for design,
Right,
permitting, bidding and award, that's where we are now. There's construction phase engineering. There was a geotech evaluation, which is included in that total number. Construction materials testing, which will be important during construction, that'll be done by a third-party, company. Rock Lane will have in their contract to do, concrete testing, but then other testing, soil testing, special inspections, those would be done by a third-party company contracted directly by the town, but we will help you, in soliciting and selecting that.
what other tests besides soil test and concrete test would you have? I'm ignorant about this whole process.
So, no, I think you're well aware,
I'm
about
well
most of the process for sure.
I'm well aware that we need to replace the sewer plant, but I'm just curious, you got soil testing, you all gonna do the concrete testing and other tests, what other tests?
The soil testing.
Now, was the soil
throughout-
not tested when you did
It
the
was, but
engineering?
during construction, they'll test it, once excavation occurs, so we'll check subgrade, no, we won't, but your firm will check subgrade, they'll check, bearing capacity, they'll check, you know, for unsuitable soils, if that was to happen, you know, that'll be testing, and they'll determine when the foundation, or the soil is ready for the concrete foundation.
What would be unsuitable soil?
So in the area of the SBRs, there were some, because of the previous construction, there was some fill placed in there, so the fill will be removed, in addition to the big slope, but there is some prior material that was placed that'll have to be removed.
Okay,
And then also asphalt pavement, where that's placed, will be pavement testing. There will also be for, a couple of roof structures that go over the blowers and then over some electrical panels. Any kind of welds, structural steel, that will be tested as well.
so do some sort of inspectors inspect this state, federal, national, county? Does anybody inspect this as we go through this project?
Depends on
Are
your.
you're talking about,
So we're not building any buildings.
right, but you're talking about the roof structure that goes over the blower and the welding in it, so we have
That's
to have somebody to inspect the welding, or?
That's in accordance with the state building code.
That's what I wanna know.
Yes.
okay.
And then if you know, if the town, I don't know if the town or the county does inspections.
The county does
County
inspections.
does, we don't. Well, that sounds good to me, as long as we stay under that threshold, and as long as we and the general public knows exactly what the figures are.
Yeah, and again, that was just, I wanted you to see that we did have three options and these options keep us within our budget, so.
And not to put you, throw any shade, as the kids say, but the state's already told us we don't need more money.
Yeah, and that was, the only reason that the question was asked to me about it was, they were calling to check for all damages post to hurricane, everything was situated, everything that hadn't been situated. And in that, they did ask if the town, if this had caused any issues with us being able to complete our project. And I advised them that while the hurricane itself did not cause us any issues, the increase in price on some materials for external reasons that we can't control were. So they did ask, what would allow us to complete the whole project. I gave them a figure, They informed me that they would look into it because they do realize that, we are all put in a particular bind with the increase of prices. There was no guarantee, but that it would not be, against, any regulations for us to apply for grants to get additional funding
Okay,
when that comes open.
if,
But
if it went, but we're,
if and
we
when,
hope
but
to
at
have
this
this.
time, nothing has come open, and I've expressed to both Lockland and McGill that we are sticking with 15 million and 15 million only.
I'm good.
What's the time frame you think it's gonna take to build this facility?
Probably talking
Guesstimate.
120 days or so for all the submittal material approval. and-
About a year and a half.
I'd say 20 months, if you ask me, I'm sitting here right now.
What, or will there be any repercussions for a project going beyond 20 months?
There, no, the contract time is actually longer than that,
Okay.
so it sounds like they're within the contract time. If it was to go over the contract time, there are liquidated damages, as there are with any construction contracts of this magnitude.
What would be the contract time in total?
I don't have that number in front of me, I think it's.
I want to say 24, but I'm
I
not
think it's
sure.
24 months, but don't quote me.
Okay.
The most
live.
important thing
We're
for us-
live, so, you know, let's not sound think maybe it could be possibly, but.
I guess my next question is, you know, such as with the paving project, and I asked these in front of the council, so they're aware. With the paving project, there was a freeze time when weather, we came into the weather. Will there be a freeze time with this project or not?
For weather. So we do have, in our construction documents, in the general conditions, so we have provisions for weather days. There are a certain number of weather days plugged in per month, just assume that, you know, and it varies throughout the year because weather conditions typically change throughout the year. And so, you know, at the end of a month, if it was an extremely wet month, you know, and, let's say 2 weeks of work was lost due to wet weather and then mud, you know, trying to restore the site, then there is a provision to add contract time on back for the contractor.
Y'all comfortable with that?
Yes, ma'am, there's so many days per month based upon the proximity to the job site, so let's just say there's 4 days in the month of September. And if there were 6 weather days, then we would document that through the engineer, and then, at the end of the job, all the documented days, in addition to what McGill has already allocated, we would request additional time, no additional money, just to cover us on that allocation.
So you're saying 20 months and you're saying to the best of your knowledge it's 24 months?
Contract time.
Right, 20 months.
So Rockland,
So you're saying you think pretty certainly that 24 months is.
to final, yes, final completion.
But now if those
I'm
days,
talking construction duration, so once if we're fortunate enough to receive funding, then we would immediately lock down our prices on all this equipment
Right.
because it's exposed at this point.
so but so if hypothetically you had more weather days than you anticipated and it goes past 24 months, what happens then?
For weather days.
Yeah.
So that will add to the contract time.
So that wouldn't penalize
Contract
you.
time, no money.
But it wouldn't penalize you all
Yes,
if it
ma'am,
went
that's
past 24 months.
That's right. If
Because
it's
we're
documented.
assuming that 24 months is the final amount of it.
Right, so yes, documented weather days. If there were unforeseen conditions, for a change order, same thing there.
Say another hurricane.
Depends on the, well, this is not for weather, like, say something is found on the site, you know, that we have to deal with changes. So change order could happen, sometimes those are additions, sometimes those are credits. And so if it was an addition, you know, it just depends on how it falls with the critical path of the schedule. Sometimes there are 0 days for that, sometimes there are days that are reasonable for a change order. So that's another reason to extend the contract time.
Just to kind of give you an example on those, there were some change orders, and I'll give you an example of one that we did with the paving project. When I had them go back and pave that street that wasn't paved, Green Acres, is that
Right.
correct? There was a change order and allocated a couple extra days for them to be able to come in and pave that itself. So I don't, you know, unless something was to happen, and again, those change orders would have to be discussed with the engineer, first before anything happens, before anything would be approved. So I guess, and I wanna say 24, but I'm not 100% positive, because and it just, that number pops up as seeing it somewhere. So, you got your weather days built in there, I just didn't know if there was a stop time built into it or not, as there was for some other projects.
No, we're accustomed to bidding, McGill's projects, and they're fair in terms of where the climate is and where we're working and allocated weather days, and also reasonable, as long as we document it, say the month after, instead of waiting 6 or 7 months and saying, remember 6 months ago, we need 3 extra days. It's correspondence that we need to keep up with.
If we award this contract today, does that 24-month period start today, or does it start?
No, so the next step would be for us to prepare the notice of award, and the town would sign that.
Okay.
The authorized representative of the town would sign that, and that basically notifies, Lock Lane that you intend to write a construction contract, enter a construction contract with them, and basically we send that to them along with the agreement, and then they get their performance and payment bonds, certificates of insurance. And so once they've prepared and signed all those documents, they send that back to us to review. We then send that on to the town for signature and approval. And once that's done, and during that process, really, we would be scheduling a pre-construction meeting. We would also be talking to Lock Lane about a notice to proceed date. And then the notice to proceed date, whatever date is established, that is day one of the contract.
How soon would you be able to lock in your vendor's price on these products?
So as soon as we would get, notice of award, we would immediately start filling out letters of intent with all of the SPR system, for example, for them to start on their drawings, contract site-specific drawings to Sparta.
What phase do you intend to start with first? Is it one of these, or are you starting with the SPR tanks first?
It would just be, I guess, looking at your system and having an understanding of what is the most critical within the footprint. I would try to work it around with what the needs of the town currently are. In other words, I know there's been some issues with some of the SPR pumps, so I would just work with your public works, and we would build a schedule within reason, as long as they're not conflicting over footprint on what your immediate needs are. It's a big enough scope and footprint that we can start in a certain area based upon your needs.
And there was a discussion, I don't know if this was a legitimate comment or not, but there was a discussion at some point about the cost, and this might have been 2 years ago, because the concrete has to be brought up the mountain. We have concrete plants within, 30 miles of us? Do we
It's
know?
less than that. Virginia,
Less than that.
Carolina.
Well, Virginia, Carolina's down there in Twin Oaks, right?
No, it's over Mount
Mount
Wilson.
Wilson, and then there's one, Gillette.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing it.
So, are you looking at hauling concrete up the mountain?
We've not had an issue with concrete with ready mix supply here
Okay,
on our
because
jobs.
that was a comment made at one point, and I said, well, you know,
It's not currently a concerning matter to get it
we
local.
got concrete plants pretty close by.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any further, Joe, anything?
No, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate, McGill and Lock Lane, you guys put a lot of work into this thing. Andy, you and Kevin got any words of wisdom back there, or?
Just ready to get the ball rolling.
Right.
All right, Jose, why don't we just need to vote on the option A, B, or C, or?
No, we're not voting on those options, we're just voting to award the contract to them. And again, it's like I told you, it's just, once we start, if this is the last phase of that construction, and for some reason something opens up and we're awarded something, then we could probably, I don't wanna do is vote option A, because then we've eliminated that. But if we just award a contract and say, well, this is the last phase of the project, and we do get some money in the future, within the next 24 months, we can get those pumps and we can go to that.
But we're guaranteed to get A.
We need a motion to
We're
award.
guaranteed to get A.
At this point in time, I'm guaranteed to get it, yes, sir.
We need to make a motion there to award the contract.
Yes, sir, we do.
All right, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion for awarding the contract to Lock Lane. Need a second?
Second.
Got a second?
Can I say something real
We're
quick?
gonna wait.
So, correct about, see if you have some more money, but as far as like the influent pump station, we would, contractor would need to move forward with, permanent suppliers for the pumps, because they're a pretty long lead time. So if we proceed down this path, then, I mean, it's probably gonna be pretty quick, but they're gonna lock in prices with suppliers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then they'll get the shop drawings prepared, we'll review those, and then there's a long, fabrication time to order.
Yeah, what I didn't want to do is, once we enter into an agreement, if we leave something out, and then something changes in the future, you have to come back and change all of it. So, I didn't want to turn back around and make them make a agreement, a public agreement that this is what we do, and then something changes in the future that, will allow us to go another route, and then we have to go back and change everything. So,
But-
we're just awarding the contract at this point in time.
But right now, we're committing the town of Sparta to $12,602,190.
To,
At least.
yeah, for the contract phase to Lockland.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yes,
that's
I
the
think we-
motion.
yeah,
That's the motion.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? And that's legit.
We do appreciate all y'all's work and look forward to getting this done, and I think the citizens look forward to getting this done as well.
Hopefully this will take care of Sparta's needs in the future. I probably won't be around that long, but
I'll be coming for you.
But it'll take care of the needs as long as you're here, right?
yeah, hope so. So, we thank you all for coming up and, hope to have a good working relationship with you all. And, as Larry the cable guy used to say, let's get it done.
Get her done.
Thank you all.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor? Motion. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.